let's move into one of our last categories. We can refer to this as close quarter threats. Someone may, before he attacks in one of the other ways that we've been discussing in training, he may decide to threaten you first, come in close quarters and threaten you with one of the objects, a shank, possibly glass if he's holding it over his head. From here, if you don't diffuse that situation, one of the other attacks can begin and it's going to be more unpredictable. So let's look at some of the defenses we can do for close quarter threats. All right, one of the last sections we're going to do here is now weapon threats. This is both kind of wrapping things up, and also it would be a natural transition to later weapon defenses where people are carrying more orthodox weapons and they're planning ahead, robberies, armed robberies, muggings, things like that. But what I want to make clear is statistically it's quite common for someone to threaten you before they attack you with the weapon. So if you have a chance to do it early, that's a good thing. But many times the person gets you into a position where you're not able to. Jiu-jitsu and other martial arts have a lot of good defenses. If the person's holding the weapon in front of you here, you know, some are better than others, but they have wrist locks and the elbow locks and things like that. And those are contained both in combat sambo and in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The problem is when we get into a situation where the person takes all your space away. So maybe they're threatening you here more like this. At this point, the traditional wrist lock and stuff won't work very well, and I'll talk about why. Now we're going to use a training blade here, but this could just as easily be a fork. It could be someone threatening your eye, like that is very common with the pencils that we talked about earlier. So I just want to show you a way to bridge that gap between the defenses you can do when there's more space between you and this one I designed specifically for this situation. Let me show you what I'm talking about. He's got a pencil or a fork and he's jamming me with it. Now, the other traditional ones assume that when my hands come up, the weapon is on this side of them. Pull the weapon back. So in this situation, you've got your wrist locks, you've got your elbow locks, things like that. But once he jams me, and number one, the weapon is behind my hand, so I'd have to do this kind of thing, and I've got no place to go. So this is the kind of thing that can happen when you're against a wall, the guy's threatening your eye, whatever. Remember, we're using a training blade, but we're imagining it's an improvised weapon. And I can't do the footwork and things like that. Now, it could be an actual blade attack, but again, we're going to be looking at these kind of things a little bit later. But let's look at this context. Now, I don't have the space to work. I could be in this position against a wall, or I could be on the ground, which we'll talk about in future segments about ground defense and grappling with weapons. But the idea here is this is a really dangerous position, but you want to have the mindset that this is really dangerous for him too. What I want to do is pin this hand, and I can take this away using the same scraping block, that scraping disarm that we used before. Okay, it looks fancy, but it's really easy. Now in this case, he's straightening his arm, so I can get one of the classic elbow locks. What I'm talking about is somebody doing this, you know, where he's going to stick that pencil right through my eye. Okay, the first thing is I want to pin this wrist with this hand. So when I go like this, the trick is about where my elbow is. Now, cut me with that hand. I'm pinning it against my chest. I'm not using a lot of strength here. The trick is that I'm not using my thumb. As soon as I go like this, pull your hand out. Come on, there she goes. I use the same monkey grip as we do in ground fight, but if my elbow's up, now pull your hand out. Yeah, it's still gonna go. So I need to combine these two ideas that I am pinning, gluing his whole arm against, my whole arm.